Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the When We Were Kids, a Time Capsule Toys Podcast. We've been gone for like 2 weeks. Sorry. Life, baseball, more life. But we're back to talk about all those great things from when we were kids and then some. Speaking of things from when we were kids, I was at the grocery store the other day. This was the first note I wrote down for the podcast. This was 2 weeks ago. It was the only note I had written until like this morning. Did you know that Mentos are still a thing?
Yeah, I knew they were still around. They haven't advertised in a long time though, because everyone remembers commercials.
I was at the grocery store. I was like, "Holy shit, Mentos!" So then, in my head, it just triggered the jingle of Mentos, the fresh maker, and then it led me down the rabbit hole of those ridiculous Mentos commercials where the people cross the street.
Yeah.
And the one guy didn't make it. So he popped a Mento and went to the backseat of someone's car and like posed with the Mentos.
Meanwhile, if you did that now, you'd open the door and just get blasted in the face.
Yeah, he'd get shot.
Whoever was carrying.
Or he'd get shot or get stabbed with like a heroin needle. Or whoever knows, whatever else. But yeah, nothing like you can't do that anymore.
No, I don't think just flashing your Mentos is gonna.
Yeah, flashing your Mentos ain't getting you nothing. That's like, I don't know why this also popped in my head. They did a lot of things with cars back then in commercials, but like that awful commercial for Grey Poupon.
Oh yeah,
do they still make that mustard?
I think they do.
I remember my parents bought it once. It is so gross.
It's just, I don't know, whatever. Just brown mustard, isn't it? Like,
yeah, I'm a yellow mustard all the way. I hate brown mustard. Brown mustard's gross, and
that's okay sometimes, but it just depends. Yeah, I'm a stadium mustard person for whatever, which I know people have opinions on that.
Yeah,
too.
The Grey Poupon.
Yeah, Grey Poupon. Yeah.
Do you remember any other ridiculous food commercials?
Yeah, well, it's similar to Grey Poupon. There wasn't Palaner All Fruit. Do you remember that one? Where the guy goes, pass the Palaner All Fruit or whatever, and the guy's like, please pass the jelly, and they're all like up in arms because he called it jelly. Like,
I do not remember that at all.
It was just like Grey Poupon, but jelly. You know what I mean? It's the same sort of commercial too. Yeah.
I remember there's I don't know why this one just popped in my head. The Bush's Baked Beans, the talking dog.
That's still around. But that stupid talking dog is still, just Peyton Manning's in one of the commercials now or whatever for it, I think.
What's the one they used to get? What's the commercial where they always go, New York City?
Yeah, I don't remember I vaguely remember what you're talking about.
But. All right, I found it. Okay. I'm not crazy. It was for salsa. It was Pace
that's
Picante.
Right. That's right.
New York City.
Yeah.
So there we go. I knew I was nuts. I had to type in New York City voice food commercial. That's the only way I found it. Yeah, I don't know why that thing just sticks out in my head, but I'm trying to think if there's other jingles for like dumb stuff like Mentos.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
There's things that when you like the Mentos jingle, when you see Mentos growing up in our area, the jingle probably starts going through your head. Kind of like Pace Picante, if you see that. New York City. But is there anything like food-wise with commercials? If you see it, you instantly have like that, it triggers that memory? Yike. Stripes. Fruit stripe gum. That one just popped in my head. That was hands down some of the worst gum ever created.
You chewed it twice and the flavor was gone. I was like, what?
And it was hard as cardboard.
They should have just petrified it and just made it candy, like hard candy or something. You know what I mean? If we were going to taste it for literally.
What was it called? Was it just called fruit stripe gum?
Yipes, I think. Yipes stripes, fruit stripe gum. I think it was called Yipes.
I know
stripes.
The mascot was a zebra.
Yeah.
Trying trying to think what other ones that popped. That one just popped in my head. Oh,
There was some really bad
Wrigley Spearmint gum.
Yeah, I remember those. There were some bad ones for Lifesavers too. Like Lifesavers had some bad jingles that I remember. Like when they started changing, like they started doing different flavors of Lifesavers. Like when they started doing like mint ones and whatever else like that. I remember there was like a big like ad campaign because I remember that those commercials were on all the time.
Were those the commercials that had like? Maybe it was for like icebreakers, where like you would pop it, then all of a sudden you'd pop it in your mouth, and all of a sudden a blizzard would hit, then you'd be like ball blue with icicles hanging off you.
Well, didn't Klondike do that too?
Was it Klondike?
Or Klondike bars?
Well, they had a jingle. What would you do?
Yeah.
For a Klondike bar.
But
I'd go to the damn store and buy one.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Klondike bars aren't that good.
No, it's like not. Yeah. They made it seem like it was this great thing. Like, yeah, this is, it was frozen ice cream.
Yeah, all his ice cream with the tiniest layer of chocolate around it.
Right.
Which there was something else that just popped in my head, but it just escaped just as fast. But yeah, so I think they were called icebreakers. But yeah, back then it seems like anyone that had like something mint related, it made you like freeze.
Yeah.
And you'd be blue, icicles hanging off you. And
what other mints? What like I'm trying to think of on the line of mints. Like what other mints were
York
big?
peppermint patties.
Oh, that was big.
Andy's mints.
Okay, I remember Andy's.
I don't know why this just popped in my head. It has nothing to do with mints. But the jingle, I don't even know if you'd call it a jingle because all it is their name. But the commercials are still on Ricola.
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised that's hung around for as long as it has. Those cough drops are disgusting, too.
They are.
All cough drops are disgusting, pretty much, except for Ludens, which is just candy.
Those are the kind I buy. I always buy the cherry ones.
Those are. I mean, you eat those. Like, I don't think there's any actual medicine in those. They're just candy. Yeah. Used to eat a whole bag. Like, yeah, whenever like we had those around in the house, like, they never lasted. We'd eat them whether we were sick or not because it was like, oh, it's just like where'd the cough drops go? We ate them all because they're like candy. But then you try to do that with like Halls or something, like, oh god, this is disgusting.
Disgusting.
Made that mistake.
Yeah, the only flavor too for cough drops you can even do pretty much is cherry because every other flavor is absolutely just. And lemon's not so bad, but like orange.
Yo, yeah. Were Sucrets a cough drop or was that a mint? Or was it both?
It may have been both. I don't even know.
I remember Sucrets just being like, oh my god, like the strongest shit ever, but like I don't remember.
Oh, they may have been mint. They came in the circle packaging, right?
It was like a little tin.
Yeah. I think they were mints.
Okay.
I remember my grandparents used to leave Halls out on their nightstands and stuff like that. I'd sneak in, always think it was candy. I would take it. I'm like, they'd be like, what, my cough drop?
Well, the Family Guy did that one. It wasn't even a bit, whatever, where it was Stewie was digging through the candy jar and there was a cough drop in the candy jar. My grandma's the same thing. You'd be digging through like, why is there a cough drop in the candy jar? There always was one for some reason.
My grandparents like never left out actual candy. They would have like random candy like in the kitchen, but you had to dig to find it because my grandparents were such hoarders. It's probably one of the grossest stories ever. I'll never forget. Do you know those Hershey miniature bags that would have crackles, or the mini Hershey bars and the mini Mr. Good bars? My grandparents bought those. And who the hell knows when they bought them? And my grandma was like, well, you guys can have one piece of chocolate each. So I grabbed, I don't know. I hate Mr. Good bars. And I still hate them to this day. I don't know why. I just don't like them. So I can't remember if I got Crackle or if I got Hershey. But my sister got a Mr. Good bar. She bit into it. She's like, this tastes weird. We looked at it. It had goddamn worms in it. Like the peanuts were replaced by worms. And they're just like, it was so gross.
It takes a lot. That had been sitting there for years because like you could leave candy in a drawer. You know what I mean? Like it'll last for years. I mean, yeah, there had to be. You said there were hoarders. There was probably a lot of gross shit going on around.
Yeah,
that too. So like that's why I got whatever. Because you could leave a candy in a drawer. Like I remember my grandparents had. Oh, I got a gross one for my grandparents. So my grandma used to buy. She'd buy everything in bulk, right? So if it was on sale, she'd buy a ton of it.
That's what my aunt did.
And so I remember like. She was making us like sandwiches or something one day for lunch. She's like, oh, go downstairs and get a new jar of mayonnaise. And so we went and got the mayonnaise. The mayonnaise was like 5 years expired. And she's like, oh no, just open it up and just scoop off the crud on the top. I'm like, no. Like,
that's what my aunt used to do. My aunt used to buy in bulk, like, and she had this, like the basement area where we played. The other half was like the laundry room. But then she had shelves to put all of her backstock mayonnaise and everything. Like, we'd go over there, and my dad would be like, this mayonnaise is 3 years old. My aunt's like, I could still use it.
Yeah, the shelves at my grandma, it was like, oh my God. Like there would be new stuff in there too, but it would be littered with stuff that was like 10 years old because she would buy some stuff in bulk. There was always like, and then around all of it too, there was always bags of potatoes shoved in there that had been there for like years.
And the eyes are growing out.
And like there's roots coming, like literally roots are coming out of the potatoes over everything else. Like I'm talking like here's the potato and there's roots coming out like 2 feet out of the bags of potatoes. Like you're swatting down roots to get to the jars of whatever.
Nothing's worse than having potatoes like that and you go to like move them and your thumb goes into them.
Yeah.
Because that smell that unleashes from that rotten potato is now stuck on your thumb.
Well, every once in a while you'll buy a bag of potatoes at the store and it'll have a rotten one in it. And so I'm always just like inspecting the potatoes constantly. I'm not, because if we have one rotten one in there, like I end up throwing the whole thing away because like it's just like all the other potatoes inevitably smell like it.
Yes,
and it just stinks. Even you wash it, I was like, nah, just screw it. Like I'm not. There's a mushy potato in here, or just go spend $3 on a new bag of potatoes.
I'm wanting to know how many people will reach out to us after this episode and talk about their one relative that they had that was a hoarder. I mean, everyone had their one person that like hoarded groceries.
Yeah, my grandma, she was like a food hoarder. Like it was like not a. And I'm sure that's growing up poor as kids, whatever. So that generation did whatever. They never threw anything away. But it was like, oh my God, yeah, like we like a groupie just get a new thing of mayonnaise. Like I'm not eating that.
My aunt was notorious for that. Notorious. It was so gross. Mayonnaise, ketchup.
There was another really gross story I remember from a kid. You remember the syrup that used to come in the? I think it was log cabin syrup, and it came in the log cabin tin. Do you remember the log cabin syrup?
I remember a log cabin syrup. I do not remember a log cabin tin.
It came in a tin. It looked like a log cabin, whatever. But I just remember as a kid one time, I don't know, my brother and I didn't put the cap back on tight enough, whatever. And we went to go like pancakes, whatever. And I just remember my brother opening it up and pouring it. And the whole thing just came out. It looked like there was ants all through the syrup that all drowned in there. And he just dunked this whole thing.
Oh, so my God.
So it was ants all over his thing. It was like, okay, yeah. We never had log cabin syrup after that ever again. My mom's like, yeah, I'm not buying it because it had a screw-on lid. So yeah, no, we're just gonna get the one you stick in the fridge that has the pop down because we'll screw it up and we won't close the syrup and ants will get in it.
Yeah, our syrup. My mom never bought log. It's so weird growing up. The stuff that your parents would buy, like your parents, like growing up, like certain things your parents wouldn't skimp on. Like, for example, ketchup. Like you had to buy Heinz. Or it's like syrup. You have to buy Mrs. Buttersworth. Mm-hmm. That's how my house was. It was like Mrs. Buttersworth, Heinz.
I think we had to knock off everything. I don't think we had anything.
But then for other stuff, we had knockoffs. Like I'm trying to even like for cereal. The only cereal I ate growing up was like Frosted Flakes, so I would not eat anything but Frosted Flakes. But my grandparents would never buy like name brand soda. It was always like whatever. Like they'd buy like root beer that was just called root beer or orange pop.
We had knockoff sodas forever, and then they started running like when Sam's Club became a thing. It was called the Wholesale Club first. Remember when it was called the Wholesale Club?
No.
It wasn't called Sam's at first. When that place opened, I remember my parents getting a cook because you could buy. Then you could get like then we had name brand pop, whatever, or we'd have Coke, whatever, because they could get a giant thing of it and it was so much cheaper than whatever. But yeah, we had Faygo we always had the Faygo. Like usually we didn't even get pop. Usually we just
a family of juggalos.
It was cool. We talked about Kool-Aid before, but yeah, usually we had Kool-Aid all the time. So
yeah, we always had Kool-Aid, but we didn't get like the special individually packaged Kool-Aids. You have to pack it. Then you have to bust out that orange that we've talked about before, the orange pitcher, and you had to make your own Kool-Aid. But it's funny that like there's certain things that like my parents wouldn't skimp on, but then there's other things like they did not like. No, that's what you're eating. But like we would never buy catsup because catsup just tastes like it just has this taste. And like it tastes like you're licking a bunch of pennies.
Yeah, I remember like I remember my brother was really picky about ketchup, whatever, and like we always had Heinz, whatever. But I remember like buying Hunt's, whatever. After it's like, that's fine. It's like I don't know. It's not much sugar.
Every now and again we did get Hunt's because
there's not as much sugar in it. I don't think so. It doesn't taste like Heinz, or right, whatever. But it is a lot cheaper too. So yeah, but
but there's always like I would always beg my mom to get like certain like cookie mix because it tasted better, and she'd like instead of like what was it? Let's say it was Betty Crocker. She'd be like, "No, I'm getting Duncan Hines." It's like, no, Duncan Hines, terrible.
The knockoff thing that I remember that was disgusting was when my mom would buy generic pudding, or she'd buy like pudding mix that wasn't Jello or wasn't whatever pudding, and it would immediately have like that funky skin on top of it, and be like, I don't want to eat this. It's like turn off a scab on the top of the pudding. It's disgusting.
Did you ever see the episode of Seinfeld where they talk about the pudding skins?
No, I don't think so.
George is like he talks about how it's like the best part of the pudding is the skin on top. So he starts individually making pudding skins and he puts them in between pieces of plastic so he can eat them.
No, yeah, I hated that.
But you saying something about Jello? Growing up, I refused to eat any like what were they? They were just like chocolate popsicles, pretty much. I would not eat any one but the Jello pudding pops. Those are the only ones I would eat. If my aunt would buy like the knockoffs because you got 25 for $2 instead of 10 for $2, I wouldn't eat them. I would only eat the Jello pudding pops.
Yeah, we had a lot of generic.
And I don't even know if they still make those.
I think they do, but yeah, we had a lot of generic fudgesicles or whatever the hell brand it was, or this or the other. You know what else sucks?
Yeah,
now?
I would not eat fudgesicles. Only Jello pudding pops.
Flintstones push-ups I used to love as a kid. And I don't know if you've bought any of those recently. They're like the tiniest thing. Like they shrunk those things down so much, and it's so like
they used to be like probably about that big.
They used to be much bigger, whatever. Too. They're so tiny now.
I didn't even know they still made them.
They still make them, but it's just like they're not the same at all.
Like I thought they were so cool, but my problem was I did not like any of the flavors. So I'll never forget like. Growing up, my mom would always buy them. I wouldn't eat them because I'm like, where the hell are my Jello pudding pops? And my sisters would eat the Flintstones push-ups. Then my sisters would freak out anytime they went to the bathroom. My poop's green. Why is my poop green? Well, it's because of Jello pudding pops. Another big thing from I think we talked about this before. But I can't remember. Growing up, we had the greatest spectacle. I'm trying to think of other words to describe it. Spectacle marketing campaign and probably heist ever created. The Pepsi Challenge.
I remember the Pepsi Challenge. The Pepsi stuff. Do you remember the Pepsi challenge? Do you remember the whole Pepsi? And they did a bunch of ad campaigns. Obviously, remember they did that one. It was like I felt like it was like a year long, where they were trying to come up with a new catchphrase for Pepsi, and they were like the whole campaign was about what the next catchphrase was going to be.
Yes.
And I was like, oh my God. And then I think it ended up being gotta have it. And it was like, okay, great. That's like, you're waiting. It's all this build up. That's your catchphrase.
Yeah, I forgot all about the gotta have it crap.
It should have been fuck you, drink Pepsi or something better. I don't know. Something with more impact on it.
Should have been drink something else other than Pepsi because Pepsi's gross. But Pepsi challenge, I'll never forget growing up. You see in the commercials and all that crazy shit that you could get. Did you drink Pepsi just to try to get the points to get something good?
We never had Pepsi to drink it. You know what I mean? Like, and then when it was bulk, I liked Coke better. So I never drank Pepsi, or I rarely did. Like if I had Pepsi, it was like after a baseball game or something, or you know what I mean? You got it at a concession stand or whatever. But like every time I drink Pepsi, I would never finish it because it was just too sweet. I was like, but
yeah, I was never a fan of Pepsi, but like I drank it if my parents or my aunt bought it. That was about the only way I would drink it. Until the Pepsi points thing. Then I'm like, we gotta buy Pepsi. What has the most points? My cousin was like hoarding points like it was nobody's business. Because he wanted like that leather jacket. The leather jacket was like 5,000 points or something like that. But each like thing was only 1 point.
Yeah.
And then like he ended up getting like, what the hell did he buy? He got like a Pepsi beach chair and something else. Because he wasn't able to get the leather jacket.
There were two more recent campaigns like that I remember. So when I worked at the shops at Boardman Park, right, I worked in maintenance there, and they had the Marlboro packs had points on them, and if you did whatever. And I remember there would be packs of those everywhere. We'd always have them. We'd save them all, and then we did it. We divvied all of them up, and then we get stuff, whatever. And I remember getting like a duffel bag and a bunch of other random crap. And then I did it more recently after I turned. It was like probably my early mid-20s maybe, whatever. Coors Light had the same thing where it was like you sent in labels of Coors Light. Well, it's all I drink is Coors Light. Like, it's mostly what I drink. So yeah, I sent in, I got everything I could have got, I got because it was like, and they discontinued it. It was like, there was like, shirts, duffel bags, like speakers, whatever random crap.
Yeah, with the Pepsi challenge, I don't know if you remember the commercials for it, showing you all the crazy shit you can get.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the commercial, they showed the fighter jet. And this is what, like, it was like the greatest debacle ever and heist. Did you watch the documentary about this?
No, I saw that it was on whatever service it's on. I remember passing it. Yeah.
You should watch it because it's crazy. This kid found out how to get the jet. To where he was like figured out, okay, you could buy this many Pepsi points. I think it was 10 cents a point. So he figured out how much money you needed to buy the jet with Pepsi points. He befriended a millionaire, talked the millionaire into it. The millionaire goes, here's the check, send it in. Sends the check in. Pepsi wouldn't give him the jet.
Did Pepsi even own the jet? Like,
no.
Yeah, I'm sure they didn't. They thought no one's ever going to get to this, whatever.
So the main part of his defense was he recorded it off the TV because they ended up changing the commercial, saying like you really cannot get this jet.
Yeah.
Wait, was it that? Or they made it more points than what it was, and they kept trying to change shit, but. So the kid ended up going through this long process of going in and out of court. That's all this shit. They offered him, like, I forget what they offered him, and he turned it down. And he goes, no, I want my jet.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah.
And it went through all this bullshit.
Yeah, if he's friends with a millionaire, he probably has money. It probably doesn't matter. He's just doing it in principle at this point.
And, like, went to court, all this shit. He ended up with nothing.
Yeah,
it was years of fighting in and out of court, and he's like, "I'm not." They offered him like whatever. He goes, "No, I want my damn jet." And then he ended up getting nothing. So he fought all this time for like he just wasted his time. But yeah, they kept changing the thing, and then like, no, you cannot really get this jet. But he sat there and it's so funny that he sat there and figured out how many points to get the jet and mailed him a check. Because they're like, the way it figured out was with the Pepsi points, to him paying 10 cents a point, it was like a fraction of the cost of the actual jet.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And Pepsi was like, we're going to lose our ass if we give this kid a jet. Which was just crazy to me. Another thing we talked about on previous episode, which it popped up somehow on my Facebook. We talked about this. There's two things actually I want to talk about that we talked about on previous episodes that have now resurfaced in my mind. We talked about McStuffins. And we're like, what the hell's a McStuffin? For some reason, the visual piece that would slide into McDonald's menu popped up on my Facebook. So new McStuffins, a handy new way to enjoy 4 great tastes, served inside oven baked French bread.
So they're like Hot Pockets, basically.
Yeah. All right. Served inside oven baked French bread. Chicken teriyaki.
Ugh. Yeah, no thanks.
This one probably wasn't terrible, but when you look at the picture, it looks really freaking gross. Philly beef and cheese.
All right.
The next one, it's probably the best one out of the bunch. Pepperoni pizza. And then barbecue chicken.
So yeah, they're just Hot Pockets, basically.
Yeah, but inside French bread.
Yeah, yeah, they didn't make it.
And the worst part is the only one that you could kind of guess of what it is the pepperoni pizza one. The others, the chicken teriyaki is almost as red as the barbecue chicken. And then the Philly beef and cheese is just a shade darker than the chicken teriyaki. But that's probably why McStuffins did not last very long. Because they look like dog food shoved inside bread. The other thing that I want to talk about that we talked about previously on an episode was those old milk cartons with kids' faces on them.
Yeah.
After we recorded, I decided to look them up. And I was very shocked by what they go for. One sold, it was a used one from Holland Milk. I love how they even put the kids' names on it in the search. Like you're really looking for Marjorie Luna or Taj Narbonne.
Well, there's probably a checklist, I'm sure, of...
I don't even know where this milk is from. Oh my God, this person wrote the worst thing ever. Vintage, original as found. This is the last one of these missing kids' milk cartons I have. So get it while you can. I wish it told you. Oh, it's Indiana. Okay, so this milk's from Indiana. This one sold for $83. But in this one's from IGA grocery store. I don't think it was ever used. Yeah, unused. Lewis Mackerly, Mitchell Deshaun Owens, $249. The fact that there is people who no one sold for $200.
Wouldn't the cartons stink? You think like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you got to empty the milk out of it, whatever. Like, but yeah, wouldn't it? Like,
they would
reek like
definitely
old milk, like
smell real bad. So yeah, April 14th, March 2nd, and April 20th are the most recent solds. And I don't know if there's any listed on eBay right now. There is none. They are so hard to find because in all actuality, who kept them?
Yeah, nobody kept the old milk cartons. Like, yeah, it just...
And they go for crazy money.
I mean, the only people that would have those literally would be hoarders from the 80s, like the 80s. You know what I mean? Like hoarders that, oh, we went to clean out the house and here it is. And you know what I mean? And even those that survived in hoarding situations, are going to be completely disgusting because they're in a hoard. And then most people, if they clean out the hoard, they're just going to pitch those too. But yeah, the only situation I could think of that those would survive.
Someone sold 2 authentic vintage 80s cardboard half-gallon cartons with missing kids. $500.
Dang. My grandparents thought I should have went over their house and looked more thoroughly through what kind of crap they had, because I bet you my parents probably just hucked a lot of stuff that might have been worth something. Not that they had a whole lot, but you know what I mean?
But the thing is, like, who would have thought that those milk cartons were going to be worth something?
Yeah.
Like, growing up, it's crazy to me thinking that, like, all the stuff that we, like, took for granted, I won't even say took it for granted. It was garbage. Like, we were throwing away garbage. And now it's worth, like, crazy money. Like, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle pie wrappers. I sold one a couple of years ago for, like, $50. It was a wrapper. Like cereal boxes.
You know what I was thinking about the other day? You remember, and we might have talked about a little bit of this, but like at Toys R Us, when you bought a video game, they didn't have the video games on the floor.
You got the tickets.
You got the ticket, and then you took the ticket up to the thing. I guarantee those tickets are probably worth something.
We talked about that.
Was that what we were talking about, or was
we talked about it before, and then our listener Scott, it triggered that in his mind. He lost his mind and went to eBay, and
he found
that they cost a crap ton of money. I'm gonna look it up right now. Video game tickets.
Because I remember having to do that because they didn't actually have the boxes or the games. They didn't put them on the floor. You had to go get them from the whatever the little side. So
you can buy the Disney's Lion King one for Sega Genesis, SNES Jungle Book, Genesis Sonic Spinball. Oh wait, more just. What the heck happened?
Didn't Hills have something like that too? When you put something on layaway, did you have a layaway slip, or did they just write it down and then you just went back and picked it down?
And you had like a layaway piece of paper you'd bring in. More just surfaced somehow on this, and I don't know how. And let me tell you, they ain't cheap at all. Double Dragon 2 for Nintendo. The game was originally $54.99. Guess how much someone wants for this piece of paper?
$200.
$306.75.
There weren't even like graphics on the slip. Didn't it just say Double Dragon? And then was there even a logo on the slip? Was there anything on the slip other than just the name of the thing and then go claim this up at the desk or whatever?
It just had the name and the price. And it said security and it had a barcode.
Yeah.
Total Recall for NES. Originally $44.99. The ticket, $155.09.
Man, wish I could find some of those tickets somewhere.
Rescue the Embassy, Mission Kemco. Never even heard of the game, but it's for Nintendo. $118.
What's in the old Toys R Us location over there on 224? I want to go search through the back. Hey, can we look for these tickets?
Harbor Freight or something like that?
Can we see what?
Do you have any of these tickets left?
His crap sitting back here somewhere shoved in a corner.
8 Eyes for Nintendo, which was not a good game. $168.87 is what someone wants for it.
Man.
Top Gun: The Second Mission.
I can't believe people are paying that for this. Like I said, the slip of paper. Codename
Viper. Ninja Gaiden 2. To quote the wizard, he knows Ninja Gaiden. Yeah, but some of these are like someone has the RoboCop one. $229.
Dang.
Not worth it. I would love to have one, but not for that stupid ass money. Not for that kind of money at all. I don't think we've ever really discussed this. I thought about it this morning. I'm going to name a toy line, and you have to name the top 2 characters or figures from that toy line.
I'll try.
No, that you liked as a kid.
Okay.
G.I. Joe.
So I never had G.I. Joes, but I'm going to say Sergeant Slaughter's got to be one of them. I don't remember who the other G.I. Joes were. I never had G.I. Joe.
Did you never watch the movie or anything like that as a kid?
I mean, occasionally you'd see the cartoons and stuff, but no, I was never into G.I. Joe. So,
okay.
Yeah, Sergeant Slaughter. And then I'm sure when you start naming them, I'll recognize the names or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, everyone loves Snake Eyes.
Oh, that's right.
Like,
Snake Eyes.
I didn't. There was Storm Shadow, which I wasn't a fan of any of the ninja guys. I loved the Cobra Twins, Zammot and Tamox.
Yeah.
I wanted this figure so bad as a kid. I never got them. It was the only ones I wanted. They were awesome. All they were the same figure, except for like the one had like the emblem here, and the other one had the emblem on the other side. One had scar on one cheek, one had scar on the other cheek. That's like all it was. But those were my picks of the Cobra Twins. And I really liked. Oh my god, what's his name? Zartan. He had some really stupid band. Some dreadnought band, because he can always change the way he looks, but he is in this like really stupid, awful rock band. It was so bad.
No, I don't remember any of that.
It was so dumb. Transformers.
So my brother had Transformers. I did not. Optimus Prime obviously is the main one. But I don't remember what else switched or moved or what. I didn't have Transformers either. That was my brother's. Like I remember seeing those and like them being around the house, but I never really messed around or played with them.
Yeah, I mean, I only had two as a kid, but for the cartoon, Soundwave, and then Starscream. I love Starscream because he was always trying to overthrow Megatron and be the leader. And then he finally got to do it in the movie, and they fucked him and got killed by Galvatron. But Soundwave's always awesome. It's funny because Soundwave and Blaster are like the same kind of. They're both tape recorders. Everyone hates Blaster, but everyone loves Soundwave. Thundercats. I don't even think I have a favorite Thundercat.
I remember having all the Thundercats, but I don't remember the characters. Like I remember Lino, but I don't. Lino and that stupid Snarf, was that his name?
Snarf was probably my favorite as a kid. Because I really hated I used to watch it, but I hated it. But I just watched it because it was on TV.
I would watch it, but yeah, I always wanted Lino to stab Snarf because he annoyed me. Even as a kid, he annoyed me.
Snarf was the best. Snarf.
Lino, but I don't remember the other Thundercats. I remember having them all. And like
there was Wily Kit, Wily Cat, Chitara, Panthro. Oh, Tigra, Bengali.
Was Stinkor one? Was that a Thundercat?
That was Masters Universe.
Okay, all right.
I didn't even write Masters Universe down.
I remember Stinkor because he stunk. And you said it was they put patchouli on it or whatever.
Yeah, they dropped patchouli down into his body, and the guy who worked for Mattel said the factory they buried him and it just smelled like dead bodies. The Thundercats, they had bad guys was Mumra, Slife,
Mumra, okay.
Monkey, oh my god, like Hyena Man, I think that was his name. Safari Joe, which was like the stupidest name. Like he was like the only human. There was a pirate called Cracker Jack.
Thundercats came at a time for me like that was like right when you're at the age where you start remembering things. Like that was like I had to have been like 4 or 5 when I had those.
Yeah.
And so it was like, but then I was on to something else and I kind of sort of forgot about them. Like Thundercats and Masters of the Universe fall in that same area where it's like and then I really started to remember stuff when Ghostbusters came out and I had all those toys, whatever. So that was like the big
Thundercats. I used to watch the cartoon. Wasn't a fan of the cartoon. I really did not like the toys. So, like, I think that's why I like Snarf so much. It's because I pretty much hated Thundercats because they always creep me out.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong with the toys too, because all the toys were like action figure kind of based, whatever, like in plastic. But wasn't Snarf just like a solid brick, whatever the hell he was? I remember him because I remember throwing him around.
Yeah, he was just like straight up solid. Like you couldn't move him.
He was like the Galoob wrestling figures. Like it was that same like hard, whatever, solid plastic.
I mean, Mumra was a cool bad guy in the cartoon, but the toy, like, I hated the fact they're like, I don't know, they were too tall for what I liked, and like I hated that all their actions were like the same. You would just like flip the switch on their back and they just That's all they would do. Stupid. I hated it. TMNT.
So you're saying what were the top two or my top two?
Your top two.
My top two. Okay. My top two, I always like Raphael the best. He was my favorite turtle, even though his weapon was the lamest, and he was always the lamest one in the NES game. He would die fast because his side only went like barely off the got
barely
murdered immediately. He was always the first turtle captured. No, my favorites were Raphael and Casey Jones, probably.
Okay. Yeah, every kid loved Casey Jones. Every kid wanted to be Casey Jones. My favorite TMNT figures. I'll go with figures and not even characters on the show because I think I don't even know if the ones I liked were even ever on the show. Needle Nose, which was one of the Mega Mutants. They only did 2 of them. Actually, the guy who designed them actually just died. Yeah, I just saw it last night. He designed Needle Nose, whose name was originally called Karate Fighter. Or no, wait, it was Mosquito Fighter. And they made him look like a Karate Kid type of thing, but he's like this giant mosquito. Then they changed him all up, and he looked like this looks like a strung out crackhead. I loved that toy so much. I got it for Christmas for my aunt, or not Christmas, my birthday the one year for my aunt. And then another one I really liked I don't know why. It was Triceratops, which he was in the cartoon. He was just an orange Triceratops from like the future.
I don't remember him being in a cartoon at all.
Like he was in an episode, and I don't even think he was in the whole episode. But yeah, the guy who designed, his name was David. I can't even pronounce his last name. I believe he did Killer Bee. He did like Muckman, I think. He did Needle Nose. He did one that was supposed to come out called Army Ant. It didn't come out. And then there was a dung beetle that was supposed to come out. I don't know why they never did, but they never did. But yeah, but we never actually like, what's your fave for whatever. So yeah, G.I. Joe, the cartoon, like I would watch it, but like none of the characters stuck out to me. Like it was like the toys themselves stuck out to me because the cartoon I was just watching. I'm like,
I was thinking about this.
I'm like, no one can hit the broadside of a barn. I
was thinking about this the other day because I took a weed gummy and then I started watching old episodes of this. But despite being high, the show still really holds up. So, what cartoons from your childhood or even getting into a teenager still hold up to you? Is there any that stick out in your mind that like you could go back and watch today and be like, yeah, that's still cool?
I'm trying to think.
Or that's still funny, you know what I mean?
Oh, you know what? Tales from the Crypt Keeper still holds up, which shocks me. The toys are kind of like whatever, but the cartoon's like really freaking good. It holds up quite a bit. I'm trying to think what other cartoons would hold up. Like a week, I think it was last week, I put on Inspector Gadget as background noise. That does not hold up.
No.
Not at all.
I haven't. Inspector Gadget came up. More proof that our phones listen to us, whatever. Inspector Gadget came up as a couple of suggestions on YouTube for me lately, like episodes, whatever. And I didn't look up for it on YouTube, but I'm sure my phone's hearing it. And they're like, oh, yeah, I talked about Inspector Gadget. Yeah, here you go.
I can't remember. So what were you watching?
Ren and Stimpy.
Okay.
So the Ren and Stimpy, I remember I was so into Ren and Stimpy, and as I think I had been like 12, 13, I think, when that came out. But that first season of Ren and Stimpy was so good, and like, and you go back and rewatch it, and it's so twisted and so sort of warped, and some of the stuff that they got through on a kids' cartoon. I mean, it's a shame the creator of Ren and Stimpy ended up turning out to be a complete and utter scumbag.
Oh, yeah.
But like you kind of see, like, but that first season, it's still hilarious, and the way they animated it, the way they did like the gross like close-ups of stuff.
The gross close-ups were some of my favorite parts of that show.
Like but Ren and Stimpy's that first season still holds up. What's funny is like you don't realize how many corners they cut to get episodes out or to whatever, or to lengthen whatever. Like they would use the same spots, like the same intros for different stuff all the time. And sometimes they would change them a little bit, but like you could see like they weren't. And I know why this was like if you look back on it, they were fighting with Nickelodeon all the time about what they could actually get on the air. And so like there was huge delays between like new episodes all the time. It was like, oh my God. So yeah, by the time they started doing them regularly, they dumped the creator and instead took a show from him. But yeah, whatever. That guy was a scumbag anyway.
Yes, he was. I don't know how I forgot this, but you saying Ren and Stimpy made me think, oh, I have 2 tattoos from a cartoon series from when I was a kid. How did I not remember this? Which was it was a Nicktoon. Rocko's Modern Life. Still holds up.
That was good, yeah.
That show, when you go back and watch it now, there is so much like adult stuff that you don't pick up on, obviously, as a kid.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if parents picked up on it. Like there was one episode where Rocco works for a sex hotline.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But like there's so much stuff that, like, oh my God, there's so many good episodes of that show. Like, and like they cover so much stuff. Even a couple years ago, Joe Murray, who did the show, brought back did the Rocko's Modern Life movie, and Netflix picked it up. And no one wanted to talk about it because it was about Ed Bighead's son was transgendered.
All right.
And like everyone's like, oh, how to take this? This is supposed to be for kids. Rocko's Modern Life is not for. If you go back and watch it, none of like there's so much stuff that was not meant for kids that was in that show, because he also did another great cartoon which no one knows about. I rewatched it with my kids a couple years ago. Holds up. It's on Cartoon Network called Camp Lazlo.
I remember it, but I don't remember watching it. I remember what it is though. Yeah,
that cartoon holds up. It's so good. It's so funny. One of the best episodes are for Camp Lazlo is about they get this llama as their mascot, and it's like has flies all around it, has poop stuck to it, and they just call him Spitty, and he just spits on everyone. But Rocko's Modern Life, Camp Lazlo.
There's Courage the Cowardly Dog was good too.
That cartoon is bizarre.
It's bizarre, but it's still like it's weird and it holds up. And I think one of the guys that just did it just died. I think, or
the guy who did voice of Courage.
Yeah. But so that was really good and really twisted. Like all these things were trying to kill the grandparents.
Yes. That's funny that you mentioned that, because then another one while I was talking triggered in my mind of another one that holds up a ton. And my son named his Roblox character after a character from this cartoon, which made me a proud dad. The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
I know the cartoon, but I never watched it.
It's on Max. That cartoon is so messed up, but Jesus Christ, is it funny. It is still hilarious. There's an episode where Billy's toilet gets clogged, and they don't know what clogged it. And then they find out that it was this goldfish, and his goldfish is like huge now, and it's stuck in the pipe. And his name was Little Pork Chop Jr.
The poor things sit there stuck in the pipe, just taking craps to the face all the time.
Yeah, his name was Little Pork Chop Jr., and that's what Killian's my son's Roblox name is. But there's an episode about like a haunted tricycle, and he just calls him Trikey. Oh my God, that cartoon is so ridiculous, but it is so freaking funny. If you people have not watched it, please go watch it. And it kills me that they never made a toy line for that cartoon, which is kind of crazy because there's a lot of toy lines. Like Ren Stimpy, they did figures of stuff like that.
And stuffed animal, a lot of stuffed animals, yeah.
Rocko's Modern Life didn't get anything. They got like Hardy's toys.
Yeah, I remember having the I might actually still have this. I'll probably bring this in to sell it to you. The Spike from Rugrats, the dog from Rugrats. I remember having that one stuff. But yeah, it's every other one from every other Nicktoon or whatever it was got toys. I don't remember anything for Rocko's Modern Life.
Rocko's Modern Life only had Hardy's toys, and in recent years they gave him Funko Pops. It's just
weird.
I don't get it. Like Rockers My Life, there was so much stuff you could have done with it.
That was around for like at least 3 or 4 seasons too, wasn't it?
Yes.
It wasn't like it was.
I think it was 4 seasons.
It wasn't gone like right away. I remember it being on for a while.
Oh yeah, it went into syndication for a long time, and there was, like I said, there's 4 seasons.
What was the fat cow's name?
Heifer.
Heifer. That's right.
Because there was Rocco.
I don't think you can get rid of calling Heifer now either. But
yeah, there was Rocco, Spunky, which was his dog.
The dog.
Filbert, which is the turtle.
Yeah.
Heifer. One of my favorite characters on the show is Grandpa Wolf, where he always calls Rocco a beaver.
Yeah,
he's like, "What do you want, beaver?" Then there was Heifer's parents that were wolves. Oh my god, there was the dentist who had a hook hand.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. There was his boss at the comic book store, Ed Bighead. I can't remember Ed's wife.
I can't remember Ed's wife's name either, but yeah, I remember the big heads.
Then there's Big Head's son. There's Pizza Face. Pizza is the pizza. God, there's so many side characters. Like that's why I have tattooed on me from Rock's My Life for 2 side characters. I have Turdy, which was Filbert's bird that Heifer accidentally killed by sitting on him. So they try to make him look alive, so they put him on a record player. And they gave him sunglasses and shorts. And then he made this fart noise and just fell over. And then for my favorite episode is when they go fishing and their boat captain's name is Crappy Jack. And they go, "Do you have 2 wooden legs?" He's like, "2 wooden legs, 2 wooden arms." And he flips up. He has 2 eye patches on his eyes. He flips them up and goes, "Heck, wooden eyes too." And peg legs come out of his eyes. And he has a pineapple that sits on his shoulder because he doesn't have a bird because he's blind. And his coat is just covered in bird shit. But yeah, I have that tattooed on me because that episode. Every time I see him, I laugh so hard. That episode's so good, and the Turdy episode's really good. I love Rockers My Life so much.
Yeah, I was that way with Ren and Stimpy for that, especially that first season. I can still go watch back and just the random little stuff that they put in every episode or the random little things. And I like how they used to. One of the rules if you animated on that show was you can't whatever character you're drawing or working on, he cannot look the same way twice. So that's why Ren always looks weird and from scene to scene, or whatever, but they did that on purpose to make it, but it made it cool because it was they always look so twisted and Ren was always going insane.
Yes.
Stimpy was always so stupid. Everybody farted. Yeah, talking about farting. Everybody farted in that show. If there was adults or there was or people.
Powdered Toast Man.
Powdered Toast Man farting. Stimpy. Yeah, it was.
The one thing I loved from Ren Stimpy, which is crazy, they made a toy for this. I saw it at the Chicago Toy Show 2 years ago, and I could not believe how much this person wanted for it. Well, then I was shocked because I didn't even realize it was even a toy made from Ren and Stimpy. Muddy Mud Skipper.
I remember the first time seeing Muddy Mud Skipper as a kid, where he's it just made me, the way they animated him flopping around. I just laughed my ass off. It's still funny. It's
it is. It's Muddy Mud Skipper was probably one of my favorite characters on that show.
He always calls Stimpy you lousy bum after everything. It is. And
I loved the horse. The one thing I still say from that show is when the horse goes, "Well, sir, I don't like it."
Well, do you remember the one when the horse, when they're fire dogs and they throw the horse out the lady's throwing all their shit?
Yes, I can close my eyes and still see it.
And she chucks the horse out, and the horse breaks its legs when it lands, and then it's screaming as it crawls across the thing to go over and they ask him what he felt about the fall, and he does the "no, sir, I don't like it" after. But yeah, they had a bunch of stuff there. I remember there's one episode where they would always have these almost a horror elements to it. So the one where they're nature show hosts and they're watching all the different creatures that are, based
oh my god, that was a really good episode.
And then the one there's the one where it's the blind albino Ren in the cave and it slaps the thing and then and the fly's screaming it's oh my god, the scream that they put on that thing, it's Jesus. As a kid you didn't think anything of it, but watching back you're holy crap, they have horror movie screams and all over the place.
Good.
There's so many crazy elements of that show. Yeah, it's that like I said, that one still I still have a soft spot in my heart for that one. The other one we talked about it before, was Real Ghostbusters still holds up. It's just because it's animated so well, and it was one of the first ones.
Real Ghostbusters best episode is the Boogeyman episode, and we're finally getting a Boogeyman figure, but it costs like $250.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, Mondo.
Yeah, no, Real Ghostbusters still holds up too, because again, that was another one that was like its own independent. There wasn't a lot of independent animators back in the day where they could do their own thing, and Real Ghostbusters was one of them. Ren and Stimpy was the other one, and then everything after that kind of just sort of spawned where you started getting your own cartoons, and it spawned a whole wave of different animation and stuff, whatever too. But yeah, those ones definitely.
Yeah, there's so many good cartoons that should have had toys, and there's so many cartoons that there's characters that should have had toys, like Ghostbusters. Boogeyman should have a figure. Back in the day, Sam Hain should have had a figure, but that episode got pulled from TV. But like Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, you could have had Billy, Mandy, Grim. Yeah, you could have Grim in his summer gear. You could have had Billy's dad, which, oh my God, Billy's dad cracks me up. Oh my God. And there's all the stupid, like, just Trikey and all other crap from that cartoon. But there's so many figures, or there's so many toys that could have been made from so much stuff when we were growing up that they just dropped the ball with. Like, all that, like, we just talked about, like, Nickelodeon stuff. Like, every other cartoon series had a toy line. Like Doug, they only released like Doug didn't even have like an actual toy line. He had like a couple dolls, and that was it.
Yeah, I don't remember anything from Doug, but yeah, you're like Rugrats had everything. You could get they had like the full on characters and everything. Yeah, and yeah, Ren and Stimpy did. Rockets were like, yeah, it was weird how that was like every other one didn't have a toy line,
which makes no sense.
No, because everybody did what. Especially as a kid, you just watched all of it. Like they were all in a row. It was like whether it was Saturday morning or whatever, or whatever Sunday morning, or whatever the hell they aired them, whatever. But they were always back to back. They always put all the Nicktoons together.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what other Nicktoons there were. That
the original ones I think were Ren and Stimpy, Rugrats, Doug, and Rocko's Modern Life were the old ones I remember. And I know those probably weren't all in the same year. Those was probably staggered, whatever. But eventually, those were all kind of together when they would do that stuff. But and a lot more came after that, obviously. But I was out of it by the time they got to like the Hey Arnolds and all that sort of stuff that came out.
Some other. All right, so you said
there you go. Yeah, Rocko's Modern Life. So yeah, the first four were the ones we mentioned, and then you're getting into ones where it's later on, like Hey Arnold, like I said, the Angry Beavers. I remember that being
Angry
later.
Beavers.
Cat Dog came later.
Yeah, Cat Dog was okay. I was a big fan of Angry Beavers, and every now and again I still sing Beaver Fever. Another one that I used to watch quite a bit was As Told by Ginger.
I don't remember that one.
I was like a teenager and I was watching it.
And yeah, did we mention Real Monsters?
Oh, All Real Monsters. I just put that on again the other day.
That was another one that came out.
It holds up pretty good. That got a toy line. They put out characters that don't even have speaking roles on the show, but yet you can't give Rocko's Modern Life a toy line. Like, Hey Arnold didn't have a toy line either. Growing up, and like in high school, who do you think was like the most influential artist that you listened to at that point in time to give you your identity?
Oh, AC/DC by far.
AC/DC?
Yeah, yeah. I remember getting into AC/DC, and then it was like, and then all I did in high school was look for bands that sounded like AC/DC or sort of and AC/DC adjacent. And then Metallica came along, like Metallica. And then I started doing that with Metallica and stuff, and then it went into metal, and then it went into punk, and Green Day and all that stuff was around too. So that it just sort of snowballed into everything after then. But yeah, for sure, AC/DC was the band that started it all for me.
That was your, like in high school. That's
yeah.
Okay. Mine was, I don't know why it went this way. Like, and I think it didn't happen till like ninth or 10th grade. Mine's like kind of weird. Like mine was Marilyn Manson. I'd never heard of Marilyn Manson until we had some school project due for our English class. You had to take a song and dissect the song. And someone did Marilyn Manson. I think it was like Portrait of American Family. And I'm like, who the hell is this? And that was like in 8th grade. So then, yeah, it happened. Yeah, by 8th grade. Because that's when I got Smells Like Children. So I became like obsessed with Marilyn Manson. To where then on the ride here today, I was listening to Antichrist Superstar, which I can't even tell you the last time I even listened to that. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. Like this song, like this album came out when I was in high school. And
Another
then
one that got big for me too, which will segue into what we're gonna do next. Kiss was real big. I got into Kiss as well too. So with that came probably after AC/DC and Metallica, and yeah, then it became Kiss and buying all the Kiss stuff, and yeah. So but yeah.
So yeah, I got really into Marilyn Manson like big time, and I'm like, I think. Well, I like the music, but I also like the controversy behind him, and like just he kept always getting in trouble for like dumb shit, like putting his balls on a security guard's head or whatever else. But like that was like the point in time. Like I've still never seen Marilyn Manson. That's like one of my. I hate going to concerts anymore because I'm old and I hate everything. But I want to see Marilyn Manson once before he dies because I guarantee it's gonna happen in like the next 2 years.
Yeah, I saw him when he came to Cavelli with Rob Zombie. I was at that show. I think I ended up with a free box at that show. But yeah, I watched that. It was all right. I was never a big fan, but he's all right.
Yeah, I want to see him like once before he dies, and like all through high school, like. The protesters outside, that was the peak time I wanted to see him, and I could just never go. But also, speaking of which, was there a concert? It popped in my head on the ride down here too. Is there a concert from your childhood, early teenage years that you were mad that your parents wouldn't let you go to? I have 2, and I still remember them to this day, and how mad I was that I couldn't go to them.
No, there was nothing they didn't let me go to. Like, cause the first concert I ever saw was AC/DC. I think it was 1996, I think. So I would have been 15 at that. And then I remember seeing Metallica, like Green Day came like right after that, a couple months. And then it was Metallica. And so no, but yeah, there was never anything that they were like, no, you can't go unless it was like, I mean, yeah, no, I don't think they ever said no. I mean, I think there might have just been ones where it was like, okay, you're not driving that far to go to that or whatever. But I don't think they ever said no, because I started going to Ozfest when I was like, before I could even drive, I went to one of the first Ozfest. So, or right around the same time. But yeah, no, there wasn't any that said no to.
So, I can't remember which one was the first one, but the first one I'll say is. It was a concert that I knew would never happen again, and I'm pretty much positive it never happened again. Rage Against the Machine with Wu-Tang Clan. I wanted to go to that concert so goddamn bad. My mom's like, now. And obviously, Rage Against the Machine's never doing shit again.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang Clan.
I do remember wanting to go see the Sex Pistols when they reunited. It was like 96 or whatever. But it was right around, like I just started going to concerts kind of. And so it was like, I think it was just, I think they played it. It probably was on a school night or something like that, whatever. It was just like, it just didn't work out that I could go. Yeah. But I mean, that was one I wish I would have went to as a teenager. Would have been cool.
And then the other one was Limp Bizkit. They were playing at the Odeon. I don't know why I remember this, but I wanted to go so bad. Tickets were like $12 or something, $17 or something like that. My mom wouldn't let me go. I was furious. So I gave my buddy Mike money to buy me a shirt. So it was the Limp Bizkit shirt. I still remember it. I wore that thing. It wasn't even black anymore because I wore it so much. It had the old Burger King logo on it. It said Limp Bizkit on the back of it. It said, "Have it our way." Then he was like, told me, he goes, I got to meet Fred Durst. I go, how was it? He goes, I said, hey, what's up, man? He said, Fred Durst said something to him like, leave me alone. I'm trying to talk to this girl. Or something like that. I forget. But it was something along those lines. Those are 2 concerts from when I was a kid that I'm mad that I never got to go to.
Yeah, no, there was nothing.
I don't even know who the hell even played with Limp Bizkit back then.
I saw Limp Bizkit in an Ozfest too. That was one of the early Ozfests.
I saw Limp Bizkit on the Family Values tour with Ice Cube.
Yeah, Fred Durst came out of a giant toilet on stage.
I remember seeing that on TV. Oh, those were the days.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got a speeding ticket on the ride home.
I remember one time going to see a show in Pittsburgh. Right after I got my license, I went to see Rocket from the Crypt in Pittsburgh, and they played at the 31st Street Pub. And so, but I remember parking the car where I wasn't supposed to park the car. And like, we went into like a record store or whatever. And when we came out, they were starting to tow the car. And I had to, and the dude just fleeced me. He's like, I'm like, oh, dude, please don't stir my car. He's like, well, it's like $200 cash, or I can take it off. Or I had like, I only had a bunch of cash in my pocket. I gave him all my cash. Like, and I'm sure he took it down off the thing. I'm like, God damn. Like, yeah.
They do that all the time. If you watch Parking Wars.
Yeah, so I'm sure I got fleeced out of $200 there. Like, oh, this idiot parked here or whatever. And as a kid, yeah.
Every time I would go to a concert in Pittsburgh, I always had some horror story. Always.
That happened with a cop one time too, where I was speeding, whatever, and he saw me pull. I'm sure when he saw me pull my license, he saw that I had cash in there, and he's like, "Oh, well, how much cash do you have there?" And I was like, "Oh, like $120." Like, all right, give that. He's like, "Let me have that, and you can go." And I did. I gave it to him. Let me have that. I'll give you back your license. Okay.
Oh my God.
I'll trade you for that. He's like, "I'll trade you this for the." Yeah, it's like, all right.
Friggin' yeah.
Thanks, officer.
I'll never forget. My sisters wanted to go see the band Mest, and I wanted to go because Fall Out Boy was opening up for Mest. So this was Grand Theft Autumn. And on our way home, we got a flat tire. And we got to wait forever for AAA. Then we got lost on the way home. I got home, I think at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I had to be up and at work at 7 a.m. Then my manager like yelled at me about something. I just like snapped on her. I was like, fuck this. It was bad. Fucking stupid. Every time I went to Pittsburgh for a concert, something always happened. I'm like, I'm done with this shit. Done.
Well, speaking of music and bands, so I want to talk to you about Kiss toys. How often do you deal with Kiss toys? Like, Kiss has licensed everything. They've got a million different things, whatever.
They have Migos.
I'm sure the only ones that are probably worth anything are probably the old ones, but like,
yeah, the Migos. There's the Migos that are worth something. There is, oh my God, there's like McFarlane ones, the Sego Circus ones, the ones that come with one letter of Kiss to spell Kiss. Everyone always thinks they're worth so much money, and they're not.
Well, they produce so many of those toys. Like that's all Kiss is about, is making money and producing a ton of stuff. So there's a zillion toys out there, whatever. But I know the only ones I ever see that are valuable, or whatever, are old ones, like original ones. Because I know they had original ones back in the 70s.
Yeah, those were like the Migos.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they put their name on everything and anything. They pump out so much crap. Like from die-cast cars to Hot Wheels.
Well, speaking of
dolls.
Speaking of crap.
To yes, you guessed it.
The Gene Simmons Mr. Potato Head here. Look at this freaking ugly ass thing. Like, why would anybody display this on anything? I mean, I know they make potato heads out of stuff, but like, yeah, my wife bought that for me, and I don't know. I don't know what she Googled for that to pop up as a piece of Kiss memorabilia to buy me. Like, she could have bought like just about anything else and be like, all right, cool, this Kiss is on it. Like, a shirt, anything. But the Gene Simmons Mr. Potato Head it's just frightening. Like, why would anybody want or display this?
It came out in 2023. So like, they're called Pop Taters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first off, this thing is like incredibly ugly. I I like how they give him interchangeable parts. Why? Like, he comes with no extra parts. Gene Simmons has 2 looks. Makeup, no makeup. I find it kind of creepy that he's licking his guitar.
It's
so weird.
Like, I won't even display that on anything. Like if I, not that I have a big toy collection or anything else like that, but anything that I have like on shelves, whatever, that's sitting there, like I'm not gonna stick. Like I have a Gene Simmons bobblehead that's on there. That's fine, whatever. But just a bobblehead. But like this thing is so butt ugly. I wouldn't display it anywhere, and it's just so goofy. Like who would want this?
I love how it says includes a surprise original potato head part.
Okay, I'm not sure what part.
Oh, right here. One surprise part included. You're either getting a normal set of ears, a red nose, or a smile.
Ah, is it? Can you see it through the packaging? Do we have to crack that baby open?
It's probably hidden in his butt. Because usually that's where you put his parts, or in his butt. But yeah, that's. I don't know why she would have. I don't know.
It's
just
I don't know. I don't understand.
Creepy looking.
Like when you do Kiss memorabilia, like that would be the thing that would come up on a Google search. Is just that's baffling to me. Like that would come up. Like why would this piece of shit come up? Like there's so many other things. Different toys, different whatever. But yeah,
I just look at it and I have so many questions. Like.
It's not like kids are playing with this thing, you know what I mean?
That's the thing. Like, it's why no kid is going out of their way to play with this. No kid's like, I need a Kiss potato head. There's a new spot in town.
No, it's nothing. It's just whatever the hell somebody says. Oh yeah, we'll produce that of whatever.
Like
Gene Simmons says yes.
I mean, they do Mr. Potato Heads for like a ton of crap. Like I told you earlier, before we recorded, they did like a Pittsburgh Steelers one. But like. But the thing is, like, you can't even find like sold listings for half the shit.
Well, no, who would want this thing?
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, who's going out of their way to be like, I need a Pittsburgh Steelers potato head, or I need a
Mr. Potato Head wasn't like a line of toys that like you remember fondly from a child. It was just some random crap toy that you got when you were like 3.
Because they're just like, you love to shove stuff in the electrical socket. Here, shove stuff into his face.
Like that was.
It's.
Well, didn't the original Mr. Potato Head, it was just the parts, and then you got a potato and you shoved the parts into the potato?
Yes, that's what it was.
Like
you bought the box of parts, and then you got to get a potato and shove the parts into the potato. That's all it was. And then they realized that.
Yeah.
I don't know what they realized. They realized probably this ain't a fucking good idea.
But yeah. Are there any... So there's band toys for a lot. Like AC/DC got toys. Everybody's got his toys now, or like either Funko Pops or some sort of action figures. Maybe. Are there any bands that I know the Misfits have all their stuff, and Danzig has a bunch of stuff? Like, are there any bands that you think should have toys that don't? I feel like all of them have some kind of toy now at this point. Like there's Metallica toys. I think there's Anthrax toys now, even too. I think
if we could have action figures of Anthrax, that'd be awesome. I want them to be like Bill and Ted figures. I think it'd be awesome if Gwar had figures.
Gwar has to have figures, though, don't they? They have to. I'm
not talking about like reaction. I'm talking about actual like I can play with you figures.
I gotcha.
I think Gwar would be awesome.
I feel like Iron Maiden, there's a lot of Eddie stuff. There's got to be Eddie toys, aren't there? I mean, there might be like ones that are like, you know what I mean? Like the general ones you're never
there's
package, not like stuff you'd actually play with.
I think there's like a McFarlane Eddie, I think.
Because all those bands, you know what I mean? Like it seemed like if you were an 80s metal band, you had to have a mascot.
Yeah.
You know
I mean, Alice Cooper has figures.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie has figures. Rob Zombie even has a doll. I'm trying to think of what other bands what
other ones would lend themselves to?
Well, I mean, like if we don't include Funko Pops and reaction figures, I would say like King Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
He would need an action figure. Metallica even had action figures. They had that big one that came with the stage. But I don't know if you could really move them or not.
Yeah, I don't know if those are just like, you know what I mean? Like it's almost, those are just sort of like, they're like like statues. They're not really like, you don't really consider them figures.
I have an idea. All right. WWE had this toy line years ago called Maximum Sweat. They were terrible figures. They pretty much look like mongoloid wrestlers, but you'd put water in them and you'd like pump and it'd make them sweat. If you took those figures, take the Maximum Sweat figures, I don't know why this popped in my head, and I think it would be amazing and probably sell millions, and make Pantera.
Yeah.
I would buy them.
Yeah, I feel like Pantera should probably have toys too. I'm sure they have, you know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
a random.
And like I said, Anthrax, you'd have to be like Bill and Ted's figures.
I mean, Anthrax is so comic book based too with what their stuff is, you know what I mean? That it's like, especially the 80s stuff, that it's like, yeah, it would lend itself, you know what I mean? Like we talked about before, Anthrax could have had a cartoon based on them, you know what I mean? If they're a little bit bigger, like they could have had Anthrax fighting whatever the hell they're fighting to get to the gig. It could be every episode, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else. Marilyn Manson even had figures. They are stupid expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think who else. Who else is out there that there has to be some like ridiculous hair metal band that everyone's like, they need a, why didn't they have an action figure? Kiss did.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you could do with a Poison or Bon Jovi action figure.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not really like, it's like, all right, oh yeah, they're big, but they're not really like, there's not like a mascot or a cartoony element to them that lends itself.
They should just do a series of like McFarlane would always have those series 1, series 2, or whatever movie Maniacs. If you did like a series of just like, I don't know why this just popped in my head. I was gonna say a series of grunge figures. So then it just triggered in my head like you can do Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains. I wouldn't do Soundgarden because Soundgarden, no one has that like image that's.
Well, Nirvana has to have toys. There has to be Kurt Cobain.
There is a Kurt Cobain one. There's Kurt Cobain figure. The head of the guitar is always broken. Even in the package, it's always broken.
Wasp could have had figures. Blackie Lawless and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, you know what I mean? Up there with their flaming cod pieces. Everything else, you could have that as the accessory. Look, his crotch actually shoots sparks.
Then it'd be him. In series
like
2, he's Jesus-y.
He's got like pig heads, you know what I mean? Like with accessories.
You got the demonic one, and then the next series 2 is his Jesus-y version.
The born again Blackie. Like
get your own born again Blackie action figure. I can't think of anything. So yeah, if anyone else can think of anything, make sure to comment and tell us what band should have had action figures that didn't. Or even rappers. Run DMC, they had to have had something. Notorious B.I.G. had a figure. Tupac had some figures.
They didn't have like a Public Enemy ones, like Flavor Flav never had a figure, or like
he had to have.
Dank, or like remember Bismarcky? He could have had a figure.
Yeah, he should have had a figure.
He was just a big cartoon character as he was.
Yes, he was. Yeah, you can go down the rabbit hole.
Kid and Play could have had figures.
Shockingly enough, they did not, which is crazy to think about.
Crisscross probably could have had figures.
I just read an article about Crisscross last week and how Daddy Mac died from a drug overdose. Yeah, Digital Underground.
Oh yeah, Humpty doesn't have a figure. Humpty has to have a figure.
He might have a Mr. Potato Head.
Well, he should. That would make sense. This looks like that's what he looks like, actually.
There you go. There's your Humpty Hump
Gene
figure.
Simmons looks like Humpty Hump right here. So yeah, if you want Humpty Hump Gene Simmons, let me know. There's a new Spud in town. Collect them all. I don't even know what the hell other ones there are.
But that's the only Mr. Potato Head that probably should be made is Humpty Hump.
That's it.
That's it. No more. Just that one. But we're done here. Thank you everyone tuning in and checking us out. Greatly appreciate it. We're going to try to get another live one scheduled. We were supposed to do one last week, but my kid's baseball got in the way of everything. So We'll figure out something. Thank you everyone tuning in and checking us out. Make sure to check out Time Capsule Toys. Check out Monsters in the Toy Box. Make sure to check out Toy Ohio June 21st, this Sunday. Julia Hart at Monsters in the Toy Box from 2 to 5. And make sure to check out all the other shows here at Young Sound Studio. Peace.